What's up, you guys? This is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today we have another episode of wibci, the series where we ask, wouldn't it be cool if, in an attempt to improve the world of Warframe. Now, the topic that we're specifically addressing today is, wouldn't it be cool if Warframe felt a little bit more rewarding? Now, I think that this is a topic that is very near and dear to many of our hearts, but it is one that comes twofold. The first part being low drop rates artificially padding gameplay. Now, we've seen stats out there on 1% drop rates, 2% drop rates, and it kind of makes us grind out at a very painstaking pace. And the other part that we will be addressing is poor rewards and poor reward table targeting. You know, when you go up into high-level missions and you're like, why are you giving me this of all things? Because I've been at this game for a long period of time, and legitimately, another stack of credits isn't gonna help me at all. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump into the catalyst that started this entire video. So today on stream over at twitch.tv/agayGuyPlays, I was doing the thing that I've been doing for, I want to say, over a month, maybe even 2 months now, which is hunting down the Blazing Steppe ephemera, which, as many of you guys know, is a 1% drop rate on the 8th zone of Elite Sanctuary onslaughts. Now, the issue here is, as I was playing and kind of grinding this out, somebody in chat had stated, well, at least there is some content for you to do. And I thought to myself out loud on stream, but this isn't really content, is it? It's not new content, it's just me grinding out the same content because the game is withholding something from me because the drop rate is at such a low percentage. And this really got me to thinking about the way that Warframe rewards its players. So I'm looking at this 1% drop rate, and I'm also thinking about the new Aura Forma that was launched in arbitrations, and as many of you guys know, arbitrations right now is a stinking hot mess. But legitimately, it's a very, very low drop rate for some of the earlier rotations. Then when you get into the later rotations, it's only a 2.5% drop rate. And how many Warframes do we currently have in the game? So it's not something just like Blazing Steppe, where it's like a one and done. This is one of those things where you need multiples of this item, and it's being withheld for you at such a shitty rate. So a part of me is kind of thinking, and this is definitely something, a question that I want to pose out to you. If every day you came into the game and you felt like you accomplished something, you know, you got something from that specific gameplay that wasn't just kind of like throwaway blueprints or resources that you kind of might need a little bit but not really need, would you be more apt to play knowing that every day you would get something good even if there was no new content? Or do you find the low drop rate so demoralizing that it prevents you from playing? Because that's the real question here. Is, I know that maybe the drop rates are really, really low because they want to make sure that you keep coming in and playing those specific game modes so that they have active bodies live in the game. But I feel like this is definitely an artificial padding of said game mode or said, you know, game. We're kind of being held hostage because we really, really want this item. Now, me specifically, you guys know that not only am I a vet, but I want to really coin the term dedicated player. You know, the dedicated player who sticks through even when there's no new content and just kind of finds things to do in the meantime. Well, I'm really fucking stubborn. So I play this game mode because I really want to complete my ephemera set, but it's not playing out of joy. It's playing because I feel like I need to play in order to get my hands on this specific item. And I have that like FOMO where, okay, well, you know, there's relics out there that, you know, I could be farming so that I could gift them out and have, you know, prime sets for my friends. Or maybe for some of you guys who don't necessarily have all the plat in the world, maybe you want to farm these prime items so that you could go ahead and sell them for plat. But you also have this other thing that you want to get your hands on, and you know it's such a low drop rate. So part of you is like, ooh, but if I don't go in now, maybe I'll miss out on it. Let me know where you stand on that situation, because a part of me is kind of like, I want to get in. Every day I play this game mode, and still after like a month plus, if not 2 months, I still come out with nothing. Now, the one thing that DE has stated is they're going to increase the drop rates on these ephemera, and that's great. However, this doesn't address all of the other low drop rate items that are in game. Now, DE has stated that all future ephemera are all going to be merit based, so I kind of started thinking in my head, wouldn't it be cool if, do you see how that title works? If some of these kind of like mainstay items that were rewards that we'd be hunting for were actually also introduced through elite challenges. So for those of you guys who don't know, challenges are kind of like the system in Warframe where you do thing X amount of times, or you do a really, really cool thing, and then it completes a challenge. I'm almost thinking that DE could introduce things like adaptation. I actually heard from a couple people out there that they don't even have some of the peculiar mods, and those have been out for a very, very long time. Mogamu has none of them. Shh, don't tell him that I told you, but he doesn't have a single one of them. But legitimately, all of these things could be introduced into elite challenges, and the challenges don't necessarily have to be easy, and they don't necessarily have to be something that you can complete very quickly. Maybe it's running 100 ESO rounds. Maybe it's running, you know, 100 just standard onslaught rounds. You know, just something along those lines. So at least you have this meter saying, all right, so if I play this much, I'm guaranteed to get X, Y, and Z. And have these elite challenges only awarded once, so that way you get a copy just for yourself, and it's not something that you're just gonna sell away. You know, if you want bonus copies to go ahead and sell on the market, then you're free to continue farming it in the game mode and make money that way. But at least with these challenges, you know that you're working towards it, and you know that you're actually making progress, rather than relying on RNG to possibly dump it to you on, you know, the third try, or possibly dump it to you months after it initially launches, which is where I'm sitting with Blazing Step right now. And as many of you guys know, Blazing Step is not going to be addressed until after they do the arbitrations one, because they're going to handle that one first. So ESO players waiting for that, you're going to have to wait just a little bit. So that's definitely one of the things that I think would be a really, really cool introduction, is merit-based challenges in order to get your hands on things that are a little bit more difficult when it comes to low drop rates, or, you know, maybe just increase the drop rate overall. Another thing that I do kind of want to suggest, and I don't know if they can actually do this mechanically, is many of you guys know I've stated that I don't necessarily like scaling rewards. You know, as you go higher, you get more. But what I'm thinking is, instead of scaling rewards, maybe increase the chances at getting rarer rewards when you go further on. As y'all are fully aware, I fully support having higher, you know, batches of rewards for more difficult content, but I don't think it should be one of those things where you're forced to stay in a particular mission for like 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes just to, you know, start getting something good. You should be able to get something good straight away. So those are my like proposals for fixing the artificial padding of gameplay through low drops. However, there is another issue that we need to address, which of course is poor rewards, as well as better reward tables for higher end players. So let's go ahead and address the poor rewards thing, and I think that this has been weighing heavy on many of our hearts ever since we first got our hands on Amalgam Mods. Now, as many of you guys know, Amalgam Mods are kind of like these smooshed together mods that introduce other aspects with some of our kind of core mods. As you guys know, there is a Serration mod that introduces a little bit of, I believe it's movement speed, so you reduce the base damage of weapon for more movement speed. There's also a shotgun version which reduces, I believe, it reduces the damage output in some way, shape, or form, and then gives you a faster revive time. Same thing goes for secondaries, where you get to take a little bit of a damage efficacy hit for better dodge speed. Like, a part of me looks at all of these Amalgam mods and I'm like, wait a second, these are supposed to be like some really good rewards, And consistently, DE is not hitting the mark. Now, I understand that they want to kind of like give us variance in our builds, but this isn't build variance. This is like downgrades for bonuses that aren't necessarily the most desirable. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking in my head, what if we had Amalgam Mods that maybe reduced the base damage of a weapon, but increased the critical chance? What if we had things that would reduce the critical chance but increase the fire rate? You know what I mean? Have these trade-offs that could potentially actually feel like they're worth it on specific weapons. So instead of having, you know, all of these core, I guess you would call them mandatory mods. I hate using that terminology because literally you get rid of one mandatory mod, a new mandatory mod is going to slot in. So, but giving us a different variant of a mandatory mod so that we could introduce a different style of gameplay. Maybe even something along the lines of reducing reload speed, or like introducing in kind of like a half efficacy ammo mutation, because that might actually be something that would be worth it on a secondary weapon. But dodge speed, revive speed, sprint speed, is that really an equation of, you know, trade-off? I don't really think so. And then kind of looking at some of the mods that they have planned for the Jovian Concord, we're looking at them at like parkour speed, like double jump strength. I don't know, the double jump strength one might be fun. I'm just saying, I've never experienced it before, but you know, I don't necessarily think that that's something that you would want to give up a survivability mod for or a range mod for. You really have to think about the fact that we are kind of like living in a space where we only have slots for 8 mods, but the new mods that they're coming up with don't necessarily give as much of a benefit in order to make them playable. So part of me is like, the rewards that we're getting right now are a bit on the poor end of the spectrum, and it really makes me think to myself, where are they trying to go with this? Is this actually going to be viable, or is this just going to be a do it for fun? I mean, that's great and all, but this isn't the Care Bears. This is not Sesame Street. We're playing a game and we want to be effective. Okay, thanks. Moving along, let's go ahead and take a look at reward tables for higher end players. Wait, but before we do, the only thing that I would suggest when it comes to better rewards is really being thoughtful about the kind of trade-offs that you are giving us in order for reducing our efficacy in one way. So if we get rid of a range mod, you need to really think up a parkour mod that is going to make us want it and be so effective that we're willing to trade off that range mod. Maybe something like, you know, after a double jump or after a wall cling, you get 55% extra range instead of the 45 that you get with, is it 45 or is it 30? Whatever base range that you normally get, so that way you can encourage parkour and you get a better payoff when you use your ability, but you do have to do something in order to trigger it. So that's all I'm saying there is, there are some mods that aren't necessarily, like, you get too much into, like, Merry Christmas land, you're just like, oh, wouldn't it be fun? This would be great! But the thought of playing against efficacy isn't really there. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into reward tables for higher end players. I'm gonna say this right now. There is no more painful moment than when you are in a long duration survival and you see yourself getting credits and endo. Now, that's cute for like mid-range players. That's fine. They're gonna need that endo. But legitimately, some of us are up here playing for long durations or just playing certain mission types such as arbitrations or ESO and like doing longer runs in there. And what are we continuously rewarded? Endo and credits. To be honest, once you get into like the higher end portions of playing, those aren't really necessary resources. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this is where I got stuck. I literally sat down and I was like, all right, how can we fix this? How can we make this part better? You know, how can we give rewards that would matter to players who have been playing for, you know, thousands of hours, have stockpiles of credits, have stockpiles of endo, and they don't need any of this. What can we replace it with, right? So, this was hard. It really was. And, you know, as much as we give DE shit, you know, about a lot of things, like, this sucks, like I had been going on with this series, wouldn't it be cool if, to give them ideas that would inspire them to do better things rather than some of the things that they're doing now. And this part was like, what do we got? So some of the proposals, and I invite you guys to go ahead and leave your proposals for better rewards in higher end tiers down in the comments below as well, but I'm thinking maybe actual ribbons. I mean, let's be real, like, ribbons are pretty common now. Ribbons are kind of given out like it's no big deal, right? So I don't see why we can't possibly get our hands on that. Maybe Forma blueprints would be a nice thing to go ahead and add in. Everybody always needs Forma to some degree, right? And whenever new weapons or new Warframes are introduced, there's always going to be a need for Forma. So those are kind of like evergreen rewards that are always good, both of those. Now another one that I actually thought about was maybe a global medallion. So we're talking about syndicates here that can be cashed into any syndicate that allows you to go above the daily amount of standing, like the amount of standing you earn. So this is one that you could just pick up. You'll be able to use it anywhere. So if you happen to want more relic packs, you can buy more relic packs with this. So that way, you know, the hours that you spend grinding in that mission, you're not just being handed more endo. You're not just being handed more with credits. You're actually getting like a form of currency that you can use to claim maybe another, you know, set of relics, another Captura scene. Maybe you can go ahead and get yourself some of the, some of the augments that you can go ahead and sell on the market for platinum. So those syndicate bits will actually allow you to go into maybe what is it called, Cetus or Valus, and pick up some of the arcanes that you're missing. So it's kind of like a way to help you complete the rest of the game, but still play the game mode that you want. Now another one is of course Kuva, but I know there is kind of like the story behind Kuva where, it's like Kuva Fortress, there's like a whole story lore bit behind it, but legitimately a part of me is kind of like, okay, like if you're gonna keep it there, then you gotta find other rewards that might be beneficial for higher end players, because like the amount of credits and the amount of endo I'm swimming in right now is just a little bit mind-boggling, and I'm like, I'm playing the game for this. Every 8th rotation of every 8th rotation of ESO where I could have gotten Fire Feet, instead I got endo. And that's, to me, as somebody who's been playing for a long time, a dedicated player, who, content or no content, we're still here, to be stuck with endo as a reward? I don't know. Regardless, let me know how you guys feel about all of this down in the comments below. If you guys have any good ideas that you think could make Warframe feel a little bit more rewarding, leave that there as well. But as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. And please pray for my soul, because the Game of Thrones series finale is tonight. I know. Listen, I'm going to stop myself before I give any spoilers, but, you know, I'm just going to say Dracarys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.